What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 8, Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another full card breakdown and prediction video. This time we are breaking down UFC Vegas 8, and it's a pretty good card. I mean, compared to the last couple weeks, I know it's still a Thursday, and a lot can still happen. Lately we've been having some fights pull out, some fights not go through, and there's 10 fights on this card right now. As of recording, Caceres and Chikadze is off, and they have not found a replacement for your Caceres. But if they do, I'll talk about it on the live stream on Friday. As always, going live Friday 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk about some final thoughts, weigh-ins, all that. But hopefully this card stays intact because I like it. I think it's a fantastic card all around. Some fights I'm really looking forward to. I just want to touch on last week a little bit, and it was a very tough week. I'm very grateful to end up in the positive after last week. It was a very tough card for betting. Had to really pick and choose, your spots on the last card and the last two cards actually. So being positive those last two cards, which I thought were very tough, I think it's a great sign going forward. Just to touch on my bets a little bit, I had four, but the Menafield and OSP fight was going to be next week now. But Agapova, Dobson, under 1.5 rounds. And at the time, I was like, so shocked at what was going on. I didn't even realize that the under was going to hit. So didn't even realize it until people, started messaging me like good call on the under. I was like, what? And then I checked, and Dobson was able to seal the under. So, I mean, I didn't expect it to go that way, but, the under hit regardless. Minus 155 I got it at, put 1.5 units on that. And then Ike Villanueva versus Jordan Wright, I got the under there as well. I got it at plus 100. I love that line a lot. Put a unit on that. It hit in the first minute. I wanted to bet Joe Selecki, but I ended up just not doing it. I didn't really want to force anything. Just looking back on it, I probably should have, hit that line, especially when he went to an underdog at some point, but I ended up staying away. And then the final bet I had was a parlay that, of course, busted because it was not a parlay week last week. Munoz was in it and Agapova inside the distance. And then I had someone with this card as well. So ended up almost making a unit on the night, 0.97 units. It was a very tough card, like I said. So even to get anywhere in the positive was a good sign there. But, getting into this card, I think there are some spots, and we're definitely going to talk about them. As always, I'll go over all my bets. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the live stream, answer any questions you guys have. And then I do a Saturday betting breakdown video. Got a lot of good feedback on that, so I'll keep doing it. Just, quickly going through the best bets of every card. And the two bets I gave it out on the Saturday betting breakdown, they both cashed. So that's good to see there. But, getting into this card, I like it. I mean, the only problem is there are so many big favorites on the card. I guess that's the only knock that I'll put on this card. But other than that, it's a pretty good card, a card I'm looking forward to. But before we get into the first fight and break it down, if you guys can leave a like, it helps a ton. Even just a little like, it helps a lot. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Would really appreciate that. Football season's coming around the corner. September 10th. Would love to get 6,000 subscribers by the NFL football season. But with that said, we're going to break down this card from bottom to top here, starting with Sean Brady versus Christian Aguilera. And this is going to be a good fight. Christian Aguilera, he is 28 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach, 14-6, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Sean Brady, 27 years old, 5'10", 72.5-inch reach, 12-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So I'm really high on Sean Brady. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I see improvement each and every time he's in the cage, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him, and he's taken a kind of a step down in competition. The first fight in the UFC, he fought Court McKee, and then he fought Nardiev the last fight, and then now he's taking a step down here with Christian Aguilera, and Aguilera is someone who went out there against Anthony Ivy and knocked him out in the first minute, which was awesome because I was all over Aguilera. But in this matchup, I like it a lot for Brady. I think this is a great matchup for him. The path to least resistance for Brady here would be taking Aguilera down. I've seen on tape, Aguilera would get taken down plenty of times against lower-level guys and just kind of controlled there for a long periods of time. He doesn't look awful off his back, but it looks like he just can't get much going off his back. I mean, he's never been submitted in, 20 fights? But I don't know. I like Brady to get the win here. get some takedowns on the feet. Aguilera is pretty cheating. I've seen him knocked down a bunch of times. He's been knocked out 4 times as well. But I like Sean Brady inside the distance here. I think he gets it done inside the distance. I know there's a lot of recency bias because he couldn't finish Court McKee and he couldn't finish Nardiev. But between those 2 fighters, they have a combined 2 losses by finish. So something we got to look into there. And Brady's not really known as a finisher. He's more known as a decision guy. But, Aguilera, he can be knocked out. And I think Brady has the grappling to definitely, get him down and possibly submit him or even get a TKO victory, especially in the small cage where, the action's going to be present itself more in the smaller cage, especially for a guy like Brady who likes to kind of stick to the outside. He's going to be forced to, engage in the action a little bit more. So I do think the finish upside's there, and it's a bet I'm looking at. Tune in Friday. We'll talk about it. But Brady inside the distance is plus money right now, so something to look at there. But give me Sean Brady. I'm going to pick him to win. 3rd round, TKO. Aguilera does not have the best cardio. I can see him definitely fading towards that 3rd round, and I think Brady's going to get him out of there. So Sean Brady, TKO, 3rd round for me. And then, getting into the next fight here, it's a low-level women's MMA fight. I forgot to touch on the odds for Brady and Aguilera. So Sean Brady is minus 410. Aguilera is plus 330, so I do think we're getting some value on the inside the distance prop. I think Brady's a fine parlay piece if you want to parlay him, but the line's fine. I think it's fair. I think Aguilera is most dangerous in that 1st round, but if Brady can grind him out that 1st round, I think he's going to definitely take over and get that finish. But anyway, Whitmire, Viana, like I was saying, a low-level fight. Whitmire, she's 29 years old, 5'5", with a 63-inch reach. She's going to be at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. She's 4-3. She's 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Polyana Viana, she is 29 years old, 5'5", 67-inch reach, 10-4, 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So Viana's lost 3 in a row. Looking at the odds here, it was, I think, close to a pick'em, but now Whitmire is minus 150 and Viana is plus 130. I'm not, too sure why. I think it should be closer to a pick'em. But as for the fight goes, I favor Whitmire in the striking, just a little bit. And I think she has the better wrestling. I think if someone gets taken down, it's going to be Whitmire getting the takedown. And I don't know, Whitmire has been subbed in all 3 losses, which is very sketchy. I know it came against, Amanda Ribas, Jillian Robertson, but still it is sketchy against Viana because she's not, she has some good BJJ. So don't be surprised if it's one of those fights where, Whitmire is dominating and Viana throws up an armbar or something like that. So I personally cannot bet this fight. I'm going to pick Whitmire because I think she can get on top and do some damage, get the takedowns. Hannah Cyphers was on top of Viana, and Viana was not able to sub Cyphers, so that kind of gives me a little bit more confidence. But to bet Whitmire all the way out to a minus 150 favorite, I don't love it. If Whitmire was, a slight underdog, I would take a look at it, but I just can't bet these low-level women's MMA fights because honestly, anything can happen. It is a very sketchy fight, but give me Emily Whitmire. I'm going to pick her to win by, I'm going to say decision, but I do think there is a chance she gets a finish here. And so Whitmire by decision for me, but not a fight I'm overly confident. I'm not as confident as a lot of other people on Whitmire here, but I think she gets it done. All right, Alessio Deiricco versus Zach Cummings. And I think this is going to be, honestly, probably the worst fight on the card. Both these guys are very, very low volume. We'll get into the numbers in a second, but Deiricco, he's 30 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 12-4, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Zach Cummings, he's 36 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach, going to have a 1-inch reach advantage, 23-7, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Deiricco is minus 115, Zach Cummings is minus 105, so pretty much a pick'em. I see a lot of people on Zach Cummings, and I mean, he does have that experience, but I'm going to go the other way here. I like Deiricco ever so slightly. Get into the numbers here. Deiricco lands 3.2 significant strikes compared to Zach Cummings 2.8. Both these guys are very low volume. I can see a situation where it can be a very, very close fight. And the thing I like about Deiricco is he goes for those takedowns. He averages about 1.95 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Zach Cummings, doesn't have the best takedown defense. Zach Cummings has a 66% takedown defense. So if the rounds are going to be close, maybe Deiricco can land a takedown, seal off the round. And for that reason, I'm going to pick him to win. Not overly confident in it, but I just think he's going to do a little bit more and get that decision. Both guys have never been finished as well. And looks like a combined 44 fights. So I do see this going to decision, a split decision. Wouldn't be surprised if Cummings got it, but I'm going to go with Deiricco. I think it's going to be the more active fighter and just do a little bit more and get that decision win. Mallory Martin versus Hannah Cyphers, and I don't know how to feel about this fight. I mean, Mallory Martin, she's 26 years old, 5'4", 64-inch reach. She's going to be the bigger fighter in there. She's 6'3". She's 6-3, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Hannah Cyphers, 28 years old, 5'1", 62-inch reach, 10-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Look at the odds here. Martin is minus 325 and Cyphers is plus 265. And before I went into tape, I thought, yeah, I think Cyphers is getting a little bit disrespected. I thought the line should be a lot closer, and then I watched tape, and I definitely see why the line is where it's at. We all know Cyphers' weakness. Cyphers' weakness is on the mat, and Martin's a good wrestler. She has some good BJJ. On the feet, I even give the advantage to Martin as well. Cyphers, I thought, she's very tough, very strong. Maybe she's able to stuff the takedowns and keep it on the feet. If she does that, it'll probably be a closer fight. But I just see Martin getting Cyphers down, and I don't know. Cyphers has been finished in 5 of her 6 losses. She's lost by knockout 3 times. She's lost by submission twice. She got finished by Agapova, who we just saw get beat by Dobson. So, I don't know. I like Martin here, and I like her to win by a finish as well. I think that if she can get Cyphers down, she can maybe find a submission, maybe land some ground and pound and get her out of there that way. But I don't mind the Mallory Martin inside the distance, and we'll talk about it more on the live stream. But that's like plus 230, and I don't hate that at all because Cyphers is getting finished in a lot of her fights. So I'm going to pick Martin to win. I'm going to say second round submission. I thought at first that Cyphers had a chance, but I don't see it. I don't see it. So I think Martin's going to be able to get her down and do some work on the mat. I just think she's the better fighter pretty much everywhere, even on the feet. If this stayed on the feet, I still think it would be close, but I still think Martin would win either way. So for that reason, I do like Martin. She's one of my most confident picks. So give me Martin by submission there. All right, this is probably for me one of the hardest fights to call on the whole card, and I see a lot of people extremely confident in Kasangane, but I don't know. It's a tough fight. Kasangane, he is 26 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach, 7-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Maki Potolo, 29 years old, 5'10", 73.5-inch reach, 13-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the odds here, it's pretty close. Impa is minus 125 and Potolo is plus 105. And honestly, I didn't think that Potolo would be an underdog in this spot because Kasangane has a lot left to prove. I mean, he's someone who started MMA in like late 2017, 2018, and he hasn't been going at it for a while. So Potolo is going to have the more experience. He's going to have the more UFC experience, and I think there's some recency bias going on with Potolo just getting submitted, and we just saw Impa on Contender Series a couple weeks ago, so I think that recency bias is going around. I think the line's a little disrespectful here towards Potolo, but with that said, I'm going to go with Impa here. I'm going to go with Impa. I just think this is a good matchup for him. I think as long as his chin holds up, and I think it does, I think he's going to be able to grind out Potolo in a decision, get him up against the cage. He's going to be the bigger fighter, take him down, wear on him. But I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this fight. I think Potolo is very live. I think he's getting disrespected. I think he should be probably the slight favorite in this matchup. But just watching tape, I don't know. I think Impa wins it. But it's the fight I'm probably one of the least confident picks on the slate because I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about it. But Potolo, he lands 4.2 significant strikes per minute. Kasangane had a nice pace in his Contender Series fight where he landed 5.3. He got a couple takedowns in that fight as well. He showed like he had some good takedowns, some good top control as well. So I can definitely see him grinding out Potolo. I think Potolo is going to be most dangerous in that first round. If Impa can get him out of that first round, I think he's going to for sure take over and just grind on Potolo, win a decision. The thing about Kasangane is, I think it's like one finish in his 7 fights, which I don't know whether that's concerning or not. But Potolo is the more dangerous fighter here. If there's a finish, it's going to be Maki Potolo getting that finish. But I don't know. I think Impa's chin's going to hold up and give me Impa to win by decision. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. It's a huge test for Impa in his first UFC fight. I know a lot of people hate on Potolo. A lot of people think he sucks. He got submitted by Darren Stewart, giving Stewart his first submission win. Lost to Callum Potter, and maybe he does suck, but I think this is going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be close, and I think Impa is going to edge it ever so slightly. All right, getting into the main card here, and what a fight! What a fight this is. I mean, we're finally going to see it. It's knock on wood, but we're finally going to see this fight. Magny Ankalaev versus Ion Cutelaba. Ankalaev is 28 years old. He is 6'3", 75-inch reach, 13-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Cutelaba, he is 26 years old, 6'1", 75-inch reach, 15-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the odds here, and this kind of shocks me in a way. Ankalaev is minus 335, and Cutelaba is plus 275. I think Ankalaev was like minus 230 in their last fight, so I don't know. This line just doesn't make all that sense to me, but that seems to be the case for a lot of fights on this card. A lot of these lines are really inflated, like Brady minus 410, Mallory Martin minus 325, Ankalaev minus 335, Lamas minus 290. We'll talk about in a little bit. Grasso we'll talk about in a little bit. A lot of these lines are inflated. I do think it should be closer, but with that said, I do like Ankalaev in this fight. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. Ankalaev is someone who I'm really high on. I think he's the more technical striker. But Cutelaba is very dangerous. We can never count him out. We saw what happened in the last fight where Ankalaev, I think he landed a head kick, and it looked like Cutelaba was rocked. But, watching tape back on that, like the shots that Ankalaev was landing, that we thought was landing, they weren't landing. He was blocking them. So I disagree with the stoppage, and I'm sure everybody does, but, put yourself in the ref's shoes, and I don't know, he looked rocked, especially live. He looked very, very rocked, and it was obviously a bad stoppage, so we're going to see it play out here. But I do like Ankalaev to win. I think he's going to win by decision. Ankalaev, we'll take a look at some finish stats here for both guys, but Cutelaba has a good chin. He has a good chin, and, looking at Cutelaba's Instagram, like, he's been putting in some work, It looks like he's going to come in here ready to go. He looks absolutely jacked, so I'm really excited to see that. But anyway, Ankalaev, 54% of his fights won by knockout, 8 by submission, so only a 62% finish rate for Ankalaev. And Cutelaba has a 93% finish rate for Cutelaba. So I don't know. I kind of see Cutelaba being able to kind of survive, and I think Ankalaev is more than happy anytime to win a decision. But if the finish is there, the finish is there. He's one of those guys. Like, he doesn't try to go out there and get a finish, but if the finish is there, he'll go for it. So I'm going to take Ankalaev. I'm going to pick him to win by decision. I think it's going to be a very fun fight, a very competitive fight. I think it's going to be a fight where Ankalaev's not going to look like a minus 300 plus favorite, but I think he's going to get the job done. Land the cleaner strikes, land the harder strikes, stay out of trouble, and win by decision here. But that's probably going to be possibly a fight of the night. I think one of the fights personally I'm looking forward to the most. All right, next we got Ricardo Lamas versus Bill Algeo. This fight was just recently added. Ryan Hall had to back out of the card. I'm not sure what happened, but now we got Bill Algeo stepping in. Lamas is 38 years old. He's 5'8", 71-inch reach, 19-8, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. And Bill Algeo, he's 31 years old. He is 5'11", 73.5-inch reach, 13-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the line here, it kind of got steamed in the past couple days. Lamas opened up, I want to say, like minus 230. It came down to like minus 170, and then it just got steamed, down to like minus 290. So Lamas is minus 290 right now, and Algeo is plus 260. And just some things I want to point out. The competition level is very, very apparent in this fight, and I just want to touch on some of the guys that Lamas has been losing to. Some really elite guys. So his last loss was against Calvin Kattar, where he lost by knockout. No shame in that. Calvin Kattar is an amazing fighter. Rashad Bektik lost to him. Josh Emmett, Max Holloway, Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo, like, he's losing to the best of the best, so he does have all that experience going for him. And just watching tape on Algeo, I wasn't all that impressed. I've seen him, get into some bad spots on the mat. I've seen him taken down, And Lamas is he's a good wrestler. He's a very good wrestler, extremely good grappler as well. High level BJJ black belt. And I don't know. I see him winning this fight. I'm not sure how he does it. I think he has some power. I think he can get Algeo out of there with some ground and pound. He has some fantastic ground and pound. But I just see Lamas going out there. The veteran. I know he's getting up there in age, 38 years old, but this is ultimately a big step down in competition from Calvin Kattar. A very big step down in competition. So I like Lamas to win. The thing I would have to worry about with Lamas is that chin. But Algeo is not really the guy to test that chin. He only has a 23% knockout rate. Lamas has been knocked out 5 times. He's never been submitted. So I think this is a good matchup for Lamas. I really do. I think it's a good matchup for him to get back on track. Whether it is probably a dominant decision or even a ground and pound victory, maybe even a submission. I think there's so much paths to victory for Lamas here. I'm gonna go with a ground and pound victory for Lamas in that I'm gonna say second round. I'm gonna say he's gonna get Algeo out there in the second round there. As for the line, I do think it's justified in a way. Lamas has fought the better guys. He's the veteran here. Algeo, 31 years old, making his UFC debut. I think Lamas gets it done unless Lamas is really shot. But I think this is a really good matchup for him. So give me Lamas by a second round knockout there. All right, weird fight here. Very weird fight. I'm not too sure how I feel about and the line as well. But Alexa Grasso, she is 27 years old, 5'5", 66-inch reach, going to be at a 6-inch reach disadvantage. 11-3, 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Jeon Kim is 30 years old, 5'7", 72-inch reach, 9-2, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So, again, just looking at the line, I mean, minus 320 for Grasso is just absolutely insane. I don't, really know why the line's this wide. Watching tape on Kim, I guess I can kind of see why Grasso is the big favorite, but this big, I don't really understand that. So Kim, she has some power. She's going to be the bigger fighter. I think this fight's going to play on the feet. Most of the time I don't see either fighter really going for a takedown or getting a takedown. But Kim, hits harder, but just watching Kim, she's pretty slow. Grasso's going to have a huge speed advantage, and that's ultimately why I am picking Grasso, but to go out there and bet Grasso as a minus 320 favorite in this matchup, I don't think it's a good idea. I do think she can use her speed to get in and out of range, but Kim's no slouch. I mean, she hits very hard. The only problem is that speed disadvantage that Kim's going to be at, and it's going to be a pretty big speed disadvantage here. So I'm going to go Grasso. I like her by decision. I don't really see anybody getting finished in this fight. Kim did get that knockout her last fight, which was pretty cool to see, but other than that, both girls aren't really finishers. 36% finish rate for Grasso. Kim a 55% finish rate. Grasso's been submitted once, and Kim's never been finished. But I like Grasso here by decision. I think it could get very, very close. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kim was able to get it done, especially being the bigger fighter, having the 6-inch reach advantage. But I do think Grasso was able to get it done just using her speed, sticking and moving, getting on the inside, landing harder shots. Not the harder shots, but landing the more shots, the more volume there, and getting it done by decision. All right, we got a co-main event here, and I don't know how I feel about this fight. Honestly, if this fight was a couple of years ago, I would have Lawler all day. But we'll talk about it in a little bit. Lawler, he's 30 years old. He's getting up there in age. He's 5'11". 74-inch reach. He's going to be at a 6-inch reach advantage. He's 28-14 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. And Magny, he's 33 years old. He is 6'3", 80-inch reach. 23-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the line here, Magny is minus 235 and Lawler is plus 195 there. I don't know. I think this fight could ultimately play out, kind of close. I don't mind that line whatsoever. I just find this being a kind of a tough matchup for Robbie Lawler here. I do want to get into some of Lawler's past fights and see. I think this is a step down in competition. I mean, coming and going off a loss to Colby Covington and now fighting Neil Magny, I do think it's a step down. But I don't know. Lawler's 30 years old. I do think he's on the back end of his career. Lost to Covington, lost to Ben Askren, controversial loss there. Lost to Rafael dos Anjos. Lost to Tyron Woodley. His last knockout win was in 2015, 5 years ago, against Rory McDonald. We all remember that fight. And the thing is, I think that's Lawler's only path to victory here is that knockout. And does he get it? I don't think so. I don't know. Magny has a pretty. His chin is a little questionable. He's been knocked out twice, been rocked plenty of times, but I don't know. I don't know if Lawler has that same power that he packed, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So this fight is kind of tough to call, but I got to go with Magny here. I think he's going to, use that length, use that reach. I just think he's going to throw more. It seems like, Lawler has been a little hesitant when throwing, his past couple fights, and I think Magny's just going to pick him apart from range, win a decision. I am looking at the Magny decision prop. Lawler's extremely tough. I think Lawler, I'm going to double check, but I think Lawler's been finished twice by strikes, so not awful there. He does have a pretty good chin, so I don't know. I like Magny to win. I like him to win by decision, just doing a little bit more. I think Lawler's, towards the end of his career, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lawler even hung him up soon. So give me Neil Magny to win this fight. At first, I thought Lawler was live, but just looking into it, I can't pick him there. All right, and then we got the main event. Just want to remind you guys, live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, going over my final thoughts, betting, DraftKings, the weigh-ins. It's a very important show. Getting my final thoughts on the weigh-ins are very important. The weigh-ins have been extremely important, during this kind of COVID period, because there's been a lot of signs of, the Herbert Burns, that one dude that wore his shirt for the weigh-ins. What's his name? I forget his name, but the dude that Tom Aspinall fought, was able to put a couple plays on him after watching the weigh-ins. So these weigh-ins are very, very important. Also going to do a betting breakdown on Saturday morning. A lot of people like that, just getting straight to the point, talking strictly bets, nothing else, no DraftKings, no predictions, not getting into the breakdown, just talking bets. A lot of people seem to like that. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, on Instagram. On Instagram is DFS by the numbers. My DMs are always open for any questions. If you guys have any questions about any bets, I'm pretty good at answering. And of course, I always post my bets for free on Saturday there. So anyway, getting into the main event here, it's a good one. Anthony Smith versus Alexander Rakic. Smith, he's 32 years old. It seems like, in fight years, he's a lot older than that. 33-15. He is 6'4", 76-inch reach, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alexander Rakic, 28 years old, 6'4", 78-inch reach, 12-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. I guess we'll look at the line first, and I think Anthony Smith is getting pretty disrespected in this line, but then again, I can understand it. Rakic is minus 275, Smith is plus 235. I think it's off. But Smith, we all remember the fight with Teixeira. He came out strong and ended up taking a really bad beating, and he's coming back, way too soon, and that is very worrisome there against someone who's dangerous as Rakic. But I'm not as high on Rakic as a lot of people are, but I do think he's going to get the job done here. It's just, I don't know, this fight is, I think it's going to play out a little bit closer than people think. So just want to point out that, I saw an interview with Anthony Smith before the Teixeira fight, and he was talking about he didn't get the proper training. He was training with his wife's yoga mat in the living room, something like that. So what I'm thinking is, I think he came to that fight knowing he had to get the fight done early, and that's why I think he came out as hard as he could and kind of gassed out later, because he knew that he wasn't prepared to go into the later rounds, and that's not the Anthony Smith we know. The Anthony Smith we know is the guy that gets the comeback later in the fight. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that though. But in this fight, been back and forth on. I really have, but just it's really hard to pick Smith here. It really is. Rakic lands 5.17 significant strikes per minute compared to Smith's 3.26, and Smith is typically a slow starter. I know he wasn't his last fight, but I'm expecting him to kind of have a slow start, and Rakic is someone who starts the first round extremely strong, so I can almost guarantee that Rakic is going to win that first round. It's just, what's going to happen in those next 2 rounds. I just don't see Smith, doing much. I don't see him getting on the mat. Rakic has a very good takedown defense. I don't see Rakic going for takedowns here. Maybe he does, but I just see Rakic, landing the harder strikes, landing more volume. I think it could be close. I think it could be closer than the line indicates, but I think Rakic wins this. I think he wins I'm going to go by decision. I think a lot of people are going to, expect Smith to get knocked out here, but Smith's a tough guy. He really is a tough guy. He's very tough. He can take a shot, and Rakic is more than capable of knocking him out, but I do like Rakic to get a decision here. I do want to point out some things, and it is some things we got to talk about. Like the level of competition is really not even close. I mean, Rakic fought Volkan Oezdemir last fight. He lost that fight. I know a lot of people thought that Rakic did beat Oezdemir, and then other than that, like he hasn't been fighting the best guys. He fought what's his face, Jimmy Manawa, and then he knocked out Manawa. Beautiful knockout, but who's not knocking out Manawa at this point? Devin Clark knocked out Devin Clark. Kind of a low level guy, and Clark actually dropped Rakic. So that's that. And then Justin Ledatti beat him in a decision. So he's not fighting the best guys. When he did get that step up to Oezdemir, he didn't get it done. But a lot of people did think he won that fight. So I'll give him that. But it's going to be a close fight, I think. But it's really, really hard to pick Anthony Smith coming off of a beating like that and coming back way too soon. I mean, the dude lost like a bunch of teeth and stuff. Like it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. Very controversial. If maybe the corner should have stepped in, maybe the ref should have stepped in and stopped it. But I don't know. I think he's coming back a little too soon. So I'm gonna go with Rakic. But if I see people betting Smith, I don't hate that. I think you're getting value. I think it should be a lot closer. But like I said, I'm not high on Rakic. Maybe it's my bias talking, but I do think the line should be a little closer than that. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. Kind of a quick breakdown here. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. Pretty tired, but got a lot more stuff to do tonight. If you guys enjoyed the breakdown, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. Would appreciate that a ton. Would love to get to 6,000 subscribers by September 10th, which is the season opener of the NFL football season. And anytime I've set a goal, and you guys have helped me get that goal every single time. So I'm expecting nothing less here. Like any subscribe helps. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are awesome. Going to be doing some giveaways pretty soon here, especially for the upcoming card, maybe even the Covington card. Might do some giveaways there because that card is looking to be very, very good. So might have like 2 giveaways next month, something like that. And like I said, my goal is to give back to you guys as much as possible. Do probably a giveaway every week at some point when I'm able to do that. But with that said, you guys can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. My DMs are always open for any questions. I do this full time, so I spend hours and hours and hours of tape study. If you guys knew how much tape I actually watch, you'd probably think I'm crazy, but someone's got to do it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I like doing this. So with that said, if you guys have any bets this week, good luck. Let's continue the success. The past 2 weeks have been tough, have ended up in the positive. That's just a great sign going forward. There are some bets I'm looking at. I've already placed one bet, and we'll talk about all that on the live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Come hang out, ask questions, and all that good stuff. So good luck, guys. Good luck on your bets, and see you later.